So thank you for joining us this afternoon for the Oil and Gas and Petrochemical Expert Learning Session. My name is Chris Dartnell. I'm the leader for the oil and gas business in Schneider, and you're very welcome to join us. We hope this is going to be enlightening and informative for you because we want to get very quickly into a dialogue and get some of our customers talking about the challenges we face. So, digitization is the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity that we face in the next 10 years in oil and gas, in my opinion. So, McKinsey will tell you that in the next 7 years for the global industries, the prize for digitization is $6.2 trillion of opportunity that we can look at. Phenomenally large. And if you go to Accenture and ask them, what can digitization bring to oil and gas? They say $1 trillion. So there's some extraordinary prizes to be had for us. Now for oil and gas, we face a volatile global economy. We face competing sources of energy. Now there's many types of renewables that are competing for the space that oil and gas would live in. We're under extreme pressure around carbon footprint, decarbonization, which is a challenge for us. And we're in an industry where we have to invest enormous amounts of capital into assets. So therefore, I would suggest that the prize for us for digitization is even larger to help us achieve flexibility and capital efficiency in oil and gas. So if you think about the impact on other industries, because if you think about hotels, the largest hotel company in the world these days is Airbnb. But Airbnb don't own assets. Using digital technologies, they are driving complete change in the hotel business. And they're making Marriott and Hilton and others think very carefully about their invested capital. If you think about retail, it's been revolutionized by Amazon and others in digital supply chains. And people who are owning bricks and mortar retail, owning or leasing stores, are really thinking again about their world. So what does that mean to us with huge invested assets? I mean, does it mean, and I'm thinking out loud here, that traders will be using their iPad and a shopping basket on an app to buy 50,000 liters of kerosene while sipping coffee on a Saturday morning? It may, right? Because when your refinery, your platform, your FPSO becomes a connected asset, it's a different world. So the dilemma, I think, for us to think about and discuss is how to change and what to change in a very complex, noisy world of digitization when we're in businesses that are running 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And we need to make the changes that really address our pain points and our real opportunities and not addressing the periphery. Maybe you think about it like this: we have to change the engine on the plane, but while we're flying. Because we've been operating in oil and gas for 100 years, we've got to make changes to existing processes. I think our challenge then is, how do we digitize not just assets, but the people who work on them, the processes we have, the supply chain we live in, the operations we have. And fundamentally, I guess, the dilemma for us, the challenge is, how do we work together to make quick decisions and the right decisions to drive digitization, to make our companies the winners in the oil and gas digitization world? That's our dilemma. That's the challenge we'd like to discuss for the next 40 minutes. You've seen in this building some of Schneider's views. You've seen how keen we are on EcoStruxure to be a solution to address it. You've seen how we believe that digital services, digitizing existing assets is a way to get started. But I wanted to really broaden the discussion. We've asked two important clients to join us. We've got a client from upstream and from downstream to get two very different perspectives. And so I wanted to listen to them and to have an engaged dialogue, and hope that's interesting and take your questions as we go. So we're going to do as we'll start with downstream in the reverse order, I guess. So let me ask my friend Vijay to join us. Vijay Jadeja is, have a seat. Vijay is a senior vice president at Reliance, based in Yamnagar, and operating the largest oil refining complex in the world. So maybe a man to talk us through the challenges. Vijay, welcome. Thank you. And we're going to juggle between microphones and headphones here. Thank you so much. Let me put that here for a minute and switch to these. Let me start off by maybe introducing yourself to the audience, talk a little bit about Reliance, and then talk about the J3 project that you've just been working on.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Myself, Vijay Jadeja. Basically, I'm instrumentation and control engineer from Indian University, MS University in Western Coast. I have 40 plus years experience in petrochemicals, oil, gas, cement, fertilizers, and heavy chemicals. From last two decades, I am associated with Reliance Industries Limited, who is operating world's largest refineries and petrochemical complex at western coast of India, called Jamnagar in Gujarat state. We have built first refinery somewhere in 1999, and we have commissioned that full refinery at the birth date of our founder chairman Sri Dhirubhai Ambani on 22nd December 1999. Just after 10 years in 2009, we have duplicated the same capacity refinery, and we have commissioned in 2009 with the addition of 2 more plants is alkalination and clean fuel project to meet the Euro 4, Euro 5 and Euro 6 demand of world. In 2013, we have started J3, which is my friend Chris had told. J3 is a combination of petrochemicals and gasification. We are J3, we are molecular management, and we are upgrading our downstream low-cost product to the high-cost product. Means, both the refineries are world's largest, safest, and greenest refinery. I mean greenest mean friends, it is a zero pollution. We harvest water from the sea, we recycle the water, and we have 10 million mango trees around our refinery to make our environmental greenest. We have a fuel gas and flare gas recovery system, so we are zero flaring. The downstream residual of the refineries is a tar or a vacuum residue. We are utilizing this by a delayed coker project, and we are making petroleum cokes and taking last penny of that as a gasoline. The petroleum cokes is used as a fuel to the all industries of the cement, hydrocarbons, and more fertilizers. Now further going in J3, we are converting this pet coke into a syngas. And this synthetic gas we are using as a fuel to our captive power plants, which are producing near about 1750 megawatt per day, and to the oil refinery heaters. And the present fuel, which we call a refinery fuel gas, we are processing into a cracker. We have established and we have installed a world's largest refinery of gas cracker with a capacity of 300 tons per hour ethylene. You can see the size of that. To support this ethylene production, we are converting this ethylene into LDP, LLDP, MEG. And this all 2 refineries and petrochemicals we known as a J1, J2 and J3. The gasification plant is, we have a 10 gasifiers producing our demand, plus we have extra syngas to offer to the government of India for fertilizers and downstream utilization. So we are converting this low value petroleum coke into a fuel gas, and our high content methane fuel gas and ethane fuel gas into LDP, LLDP, MEG and valuable product. As on today, we are operating near about 60 metric tons per annum, 60 million metric tons per annum crude processing, and that is a 4% of this world capacity.
So clearly a complex operation. You're raising the value of the molecule from what you're producing. You're refining about 4% of the world's entire refining capacity. So it's an amazingly complex operation. I think you're starting up most of the plants around now. I think it's a pretty busy time for you.
Yes, our C2 complex, which I have told a petrochemical complex, is we have commissioned and it is commercialized in the last year, March 2017. And gasification, we are just commercialized in this March 2018, and rest ports we are going to commission in December 2018.
Wow. So thank you for joining us, particularly at such a busy time for your asset. Tell us, what's Reliance's view of adopting digital technologies and new technologies? How important is it for you to adopt those as quickly as you can?
Thank you, Chris. Friends, you know, the first refinery in India, such a large capacity, we have seen and we have learned a lot of lessons. And on the second refinery, an ongoing value maximization project of our first refinery, we have adopted a lot of digitization. The first digitization we have done is e-documentation. To handle the huge documentation over the world, we have you name the vendor and we have vendors. You name the equipments and we have in 4-digit equipments. We have near about 2,570 CPUs of Invensis or Schneider Electrical working for us. So to have the documentation in line, first step we have done e-documentation. So we have established 5 hubs across the world: London, India, Jamnagar, China and Japan, and to handle these e-rooms to and fro our documentation through design up to the construction concept.
So you were, I think, adopting digital technologies right from the start.
Yes.
And you made every document digital and then made sure that all of your... I think you have 8 EPCs, I believe, on the building, 8 different contractors around the world building these huge plants. And you're using digital documentation to make sure they're all on the same
platforms.
I guess one view of reality, is it?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a real-time data analysis and data information. The same platform. So then in the maintenance, immediately we adopt SAP systems, plant PM schedule, plant management schedule, inventory management schedules, and we have optimized our inventory. Within 2 years of that, we have come down the inventory from something like 2 billion to only 8.8 billion. So this is the benefits of digitalization in the first project during the journey. In the second project in J2, we have established right beginning during design stage, during construction, we have adopted the planning, Primavera, planning schedulers, and feedback schedulers. And this is gone from field activity up to the boardroom. So information on day-to-day, every day morning, it is available to everybody who is associated with the project.
So maybe tell me, if on J1 your first project was manual planning and on J2 was digitized planning, what were the benefits? What did you see was different? Or maybe what were the problems of that? How did that work for you?
In J1, the construction and commissioning time was near about 36 months. The same capacity refinery with the addition of 2 plants, CFP and alkylation, we completed within 30 months. So 6-month benefits, which is really 1/3 of the payback value of a refinery.
Wow.
Which we have won it.
So you can attribute partially 6 months of
advance.
Wow, okay. So that was, you talked about digitizing design documentation, design the planning process, and the construction followed the same route? Yes. Or
construction, we have followed the same route. We are using the Integraphs as a 3D models. So all BOM comes, directly SAP orders are generated, inquiries going to this main, our approved suppliers, and the supply chain is established, digitalized. And one step further, we give the payment also digitalized.
So talk a bit more about digital supply chain. What does that mean versus a supply chain from 30 years ago, for example?
Yes. Now, before 30 years, there was a lot of paperwork. You go for a RFQ, plot the inquiries, get the quotation, compare it, and then place the orders. In digitalized, this all happens within a couple of hours.
Okay.
So from months together, we have reduced this operation to the couple of hours.
So it's less administration, much quicker, less overhead cost, I guess. Do you find that you're improving the purchase price? Do you find that you're buying more consistently from suppliers that you wish to? Is that also?
Yes, we have approved authorized OEMs.
Okay.
And 99% we are going with the original manufacturers only.
Okay.
And second thing, this has reduced a huge capacity of a storage. Because initially the document handling, it is really a transporting. And by digitalizing, we have converted the transportation into transmitting.
Right.
And this all data is going from wheels to the wires. This is the great achievement for us.
Wheels to wires, okay. First time I heard that, I like that. Okay, so take us through then J2 and J3 starting up. What are you thinking about in terms of startup and how you handle that in a different way, and if digital technology from Schneider or others helps you do things better there?
Yes, now the first thing in J1 we have learned thing, J2 is just duplication. With the same manpower and augmentation of the manpower, J3 is little bit smooth. J3 is a different test. It is a petrochemicals and gasification. The first step, we have digitalized all our procedures, OEM processes, and we have built OTS. I mean OTS is a operator training simulators. We built maintenance simulators. And as I told you, if I have to fly the plane or if I have to give a plane to pilot, we have to give the training to the pilots. We are testing the pilot on the plane simulators. And once they are through, then we are handing over that to plane to priors.
Okay.
Similar way, OTS and plant maintenance modules help us to train our operator staff and our crew to make them first go right operations.
Okay. So you're training not just your plant operators, but also you're training your maintenance technicians about likely fault conditions. Do you certify them? Do they go through a process where you know they're ready, or?
Yes, Reliance, we have a learning academy. All the disciplines, we have a different stage of academy. We train them, we validate them. Our recruitment procedure is start with colleges. Chris, we take a fresh engineers. We give them 2 years training, or we take engineers from the fresh organization, take them 2 years training. Every quarterly we validate. And we find out what is the gap, and we augment the gap. We reschedule the trainings, and we validate them. Mm-hmm. And once it is fully validated, then it will be given charge.
Very good. Okay.
And this all training procedure is also digitalized.
And this, okay. Tell me about that. How do you digitize the
We
training?
have our documentation in which we have modules. And a person, suppose I am an instrument engineer, I have a dedicated modules.
Okay.
From 18 to 19 modules I have to go through. I have to go through that. I have to go pass that test. Once I pass that first test, then I will go hands-on. Hands-on is passed, then I will go final test. And when final test is gone, then that engineer is allowed to go to field and ready to accept permits. This is the 100% digitalized system operated by our academy and learning system.
Very good. All right, and then let me take you through to operation. You're not operating J3, or pieces you are, but what are you thinking about how you operate differently in a digital environment? How does that? Are you thinking about how you can more optimize? Is the operator's role more of a improvement performance operator? Tell us your thoughts here.
Yeah. See, in J1, J2 and J3, we are installed with the Invensys DCS CSD systems. We are involved with the FNG systems. We have MCMS, and we have 9 other common systems which give the information. Now a plant operator needs this on all 4 screens or 6 screens. So all the data for the operations and machine conditioning and fire and gas is made available on the 6 screen to the operator with availability him to access everything. Plus we have a large screens. In large screens, which is having interface with the DCS CSD, plus our common IT platforms. And the common IT platform is having all the common documents, which I have told RAMS. RAMS full name is Reliance Engineering Information Management Systems. Mm-hmm. So starting from the concept, PFD, P&ID, specification sheet, everything is made available to the person who is assessed to that. And each and every panel officer, each and every maintenance engineer is equipped with this, so he is having very near to him to access all the information, which save the times. Now, during commissioning, we have started AMS. AMSI means Alarm Management Systems. So not a single alarm is missing, and each and every alarm is recorded, and every shift, the operator is getting the information how many alarms are there, which are the frequent alarms, which are the delayed alarms, which are continuous alarms. And we have to work to resolve the alarms. And this is the activity of our pre-commissioning and commissioning. Before putting the hydrocarbon in,
Yes.
we are proving the plant like this by water run or by gas run. And once it is through, then we conduct the PSSR. After pre-safety startup review, we introduce the hydrocarbon.
So do you, if I recall, you went 6 months quicker from J1 to J2. Do you think you're going to be quicker again for J3? Do you see these technologies, or are you going to be not quicker, but hitting sustained performance quicker? Is that the goal?
As I told you, Chris, this petrochemical is a repetition, but size-wise is enlarged.
Yep.
Cracker is our first plant with a Technip branch, and the total time was near about 42 months, and we have achieved in 39 months.
Wow. Okay.
So 3 months achievement of this commissioning is thanks to the digital technology. We have started AMS from the day one. We have put our auto tuning, TIG from the day one. So within commissioning, next 24 hours, my plant is stabilized on the 100% throughput.
So I think that's to the. Maybe if I just explain, I don't know if I'm. Tell me if I'm not correct, but historically with plants, you get them up to first hydrocarbons in or production, but it might take 6, 12, 18 months to be running at full capacity with all the technologies you want. You're starting them on day one, so you're getting to the operation level you want on day one, not day 400, I guess, and that's a
That is with a quality product.
very good.
So our offline products is very less because the use of this DCS and this TIG controllers, it is interface with our analyzer management system, that is second AMS. All the chromatographs is directly available to on LIMS, and it is having a capacity to correct online or offline with the operator interface.
Okay.
So LIMS is helping us to put our quality feed and get the quality product.
Two final questions, although I think we could talk for an hour. I hope it's interesting for you guys too. But question one, do you concern yourself that the humans are not ready yet, that they have so much information that they're not making good decisions because you've given them so much to think about? And then, well, maybe have a think about that. How do you get the people to be able to use all of the data that you've given them?
Yes. Right now we are using interconnectivity from my DCS system to my Reliance network. Reliance network is not open to the world, but it's my organization network. This we have connected to my system with firewalls and by dematerialization zone servers. So all the data from DCS is pushed to this DM zone servers, and from dematerialized zones, the authorized person can pick up and they can see on the screen IP.21. So we have a technology department who is monitoring these data, giving the corrections and correcting the parameters, load and operating condition of the plant, and giving instruction to the operation department. This is the way we are upkeeping our production and quality,
right,
with plant equipment reliability and sustainability through the MP modules. So we are monitoring the condition of all rotating equipment.
And you're giving people specific monitoring jobs across the thinking. Very good. And then you're clearly rapidly adopting technology. You're leading maybe the refining world in what you do. Just looking back on the last 2 years, what would you have done differently? Is there one thing that you think, yes, next time I would do that slightly differently? Anything spring to mind or not?
Oh yes, in J1 we have 100% utilized conventional instrumentation, very few hard. In J2, this ratio is changed. We have used mostly hard instrumentation and very few conventional. In J3, we have gone 2 steps ahead. We have used hard plus wireless technology and adoption of field bus foundation. The field bus foundation adoption has made me faster in installation and commissioning.
Very good. So almost it's about quicker adoption, being bolder of adopting technologies that you believe in. Vijay, thank you so much. What we'll do, folks, is take We'll listen to Pal, and then we'll take questions in the last 5 minutes for both speakers. But just for the minute, thank you so much for...
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for giving me opportunity. Thank you very much.
So let me introduce our second guest. Pal Kleiven is Vice President from Unison. So we're going to welcome Pal to the stage, if you would. Thank you. Welcome. So here we're in a different piece of the fascinating world of oil and gas and chemicals. We're way upstream here, and we're talking about oil production and gas production offshore and FPSO. So, well, Paul can tell the story better than me, but if you could maybe, Paul, introduce yourself, tell a little about Unison, and then talk about maybe the 4 Rainbow project that we've been a little contributor to helping you to get ready.
Thank you, Chris. I want to thank Schneider for inviting us here. It's a fantastic event you have here. I'm very, very impressed. And it looks very good. Yes, Unison, we are an FSO provider, service provider. We build, own, and operate FPSOs ourselves. We have offices in Oslo, Singapore, and in KL. We are listed on KL Stock Exchange. We have currently 1 FPSO in Ghana, 1 in Nigeria, 1 in Gabon, 1 in Vietnam, and 1 FSO in Vietnam. And currently we are working on a project called for Rainbow. The vessel will be renamed FPSO Helan, Helan, to be installed in Malaysian water in Sarawak area for JX Nippon. That's going to happen next year. We're also looking into another project for redeployment of another vessel for a project in Nigeria for first ENP. So that's what we do. We own and operate and build up FPSOs, convert them ourselves for the oil and gas industry, for the oil operators, yes.
So I think most of your projects are leased, would that be correct to say?
All of them are leased, yes.
So you have a different set of challenges. You're spending a lot of capital, you're building, you've got to get to first oil, and then you start to get repay on the lease. Tell us about, I guess to start with, how important is technology in general and digital technology to Unison?
It's very important because our contracts are based on uptime. We have something called malus bonus contracts. Mm-hmm. To be honest, I feel only the malus side, not the bonus side of it, yes, but right. That's how the oil companies manage to do that. So uptime is very, very important for us. Uptime can be solved in different ways. By sparing of equipment, you can put an extra much equipment on board and things like that, but that's all capital intensive. You can also solve it by more controls and more digitalization, basically. So for us, that's very, very important to keep an uptime and also the cash flow going on.
Yes. Maybe if we flow through project into operation, but starting with projects, well, what changes are you making in the way you design vessels and topsides in terms of digital technologies in general?
Well, it's interesting to see how the world has changed because if you go 20 years back in time, very much was on the drawing board, and literally on the drawing board, yes. And everything has changed. We got different softwares, applications for everything from schedule control to PDMS for PIDs, PNFDs, and things like that. What we see now is that everything is melting together,
right?
And it starts to merge into one big soup, if you call it that way. Mm-hmm. And that needs to be controlled. And the important thing is that to control this and also to have a kind of a link over to the operations that has to handle and operate these elements. So we are constantly working on that one. We have a very strong focus just for the current being on the mechanical completion and commissioning side, which is very paper intensive and very intensive as such. And lots of inspections have been done. So to digitalize that one is very, very important for us.
And it seems that many of us are searching for how we can connect the project to the operation so that in operation, the decisions that were made on the project are visible, and revision control, it's a huge challenge, isn't it? But you're working on some of that, or you?
There are two ways to work on that one as well, okay? By doing by digitalizations, but also in one way, which is probably even more efficient, to bring the operators into the project execution side.
Okay.
So they have to live with what they are basically
yes,
designing first. So that helps them. It's kind of a blackmail, but it works.
Okay. So digitizing blackmail might be also a recommendation here, I think.
That's a new one, yeah.
Yes. We got wheels to wires and now digitizing blackmail. It's and the sail away, the startup, how do you, I mean, I guess you talked about mechanical completion, digitizing that process, but what's your thinking there?
Just to give you an idea of how important the MC completion phase is, for a big project, for every day we are stuck in the shipyard, not sailing out because of we have some findings and things like that, it could cost you up to $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 every day.
Right.
That includes everything from capital cost to shipyard cost and etc. But so you see the importance of having something that works from day one.
Yes.
And so for us, it's alpha and omega. That's where we can make money or lose money.
Because that, I mean, it's in our industry, the costs are so phenomenal that, I mean, saving 4 days of sail away is $2 million. That certainly changes the repayment on whatever technology you think might get you there. Because that, and I guess you also talked about making choices of, do I want spares and redundancy, or do I want better analysis of failure? You're making those trade-offs too. How do you think about that?
We're doing those trade-offs too, where we see the digitalization kicking in full time is basically on operational sides, where we can do live monitoring what's happening on board the FPSOs/FSOs, and can be checked up in the home office, and we can do investigation immediately, because sending out technicians to a FPSO in Nigeria, Ghana, from Europe, it's not done overnight normally, and it comes with a hefty price tag. So if you can find out what the problem is in the beginning, of course with the help of the crew, which is highly competent and trained to deal with it, but sometimes you get some problems that are maybe not normal problems, or they need assistance, then we can do it that way, and that saves us time and money.
And I know, so we're working on the electrical distribution systems with you, but things like remote analysis of automated systems, I guess, is the most compelling when your vessel and your asset is 300 miles offshore Nigeria, right? It's a bit easier than driving to Singapore or Marina Bay Hotel to check something. Right?
Well, even if that's fun as well.
Yes. Okay. So what else are you thinking around operating assets, particularly, because I believe that, so you talked about malice and reward, I guess is how it's done, but...
Bonus malus. Yeah.
Bonus malus. So if I understand that correctly, if you get, example, more than 99% uptime, you get paid more, less than 99 less, something of that type, or explain, but how do you think about technology helping you to get paid more, basically, in that environment?
Yes, it helps us on the uptime, which is directly linked to the day rate and things like that, to some certain degrees. I will not disclose exactly how the contracts are built up, because that's a little bit trade secret as well, and it's different from project to project again. But it's no secret that we are penalized if we are not producing as much as we are supposed to do according to the contract. And in some cases, we are also then rewarded, bonus, if we produce more than we should according to the contract. And like I said, Chris, we can deal with that by either sparing. So instead of having 1 times 100% compressor, we put in 2 times 100 compressor, thing like that. Double investment. At the same time, also 2 times equipment that can fail as well. So it's not just adding up. Everything can fail. Everything that rotates or go around normally fails once in a lifetime. But it's also the monitoring, the control, and keeping an early monitoring, seeing early warning signs that something is wrong. That's very important, and that's what the operations do.
Yes. Have you used predictive maintenance of some type? Are you thinking of that? Because we do that, others do that, but it seems that predicting the fault and being able to do something proactive is a huge potential for your business model.
When you mention predictive maintenance and predictive fault, things like that, I think of OREDA and things like that. That's done as a RAM study in early stages, where you then looked in how likely is that equipment to fail, thing like that. Okay, that's a theoretically approach.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to operation, you need something to monitor it all the way through.
Yes.
I'm not an operation man myself, but I strongly believe that we, at least for the big projects, the one we delivered for Ghana, for E&I, we have those kind of tools in place. For smaller projects, where it's just a redeployment of a vessel, let's say from A to B, and just for a year or two, we may not invest in that one as well, because it all boils down to dollars and cents, to be honest.
So some of your digitization decisions are very logical on payback, I guess. So it's not digitize everything, it's digitize, well, which is good, because I guess you're prioritizing your digitization, if that's not too complex in English, but you're choosing where to start, I guess, is the way to think about it.
It is, yeah.
So what's next for Unison? When you think about the next vessel, which you're yet to win, that's going to be commissioned in 2023, that I just created, what would you push as the next way to get more efficient?
Okay, where we hope to be more efficient ourselves with help of companies like yourself would be on the execution side, first of all, that we have a common platform for all the engineering tool, that we can have. 2 weeks ago there was a conference here and they called about the digital twin models and things like that. That means basically you model everything electronically and then have it in real life. I hope that's going to kick in more and more.
We do,
And then the importance is also to improve on the commissioning and NC side of executing project, where we hope that we will have a common understanding and platform with the suppliers of how to do it. We have to define the system, because there are 10,000 systems with 10,000 suppliers out there.
Right.
We need to find a common ground. And if we can do that, that's good.
So digital twin, we're big proponents, others are too, but we see huge value, particularly in handover, right? In taking what you learned on the project into the operation. And I think on MC, on mechanical completion, it sounds like that's a sharing opportunity, isn't it? If everybody that's around that mechanical piece has the same understanding of how you got there, it feels like you're going to get there quicker on maybe digital documentation sharing and the like. Very good. Yep. Any lessons that you think, looking back, we should have done this better, quicker, we should have avoided doing this? What are the kind of digital cul-de-sacs that you went into that we wouldn't do, if anything springs to mind?
Nothing in particular. I just see that everything that we gained on the digitalization side is nice and good, but we should have done it half a year ago. I just want everything to happen a little bit faster and sooner, basically. The other thing is, there are so many systems and ideas out there, and I am absolutely not an expert on digitalization. I barely know how to write it, and to work with that kind of stuff. I'm the old school, so I like hard stuff. I like to see things and that. So if somebody can come up with an easy system that even I can understand,
even you,
yes, even me, that would be very, very helpful.
Okay, that's interesting. So the same as Vijay, I think it was the learning was go quicker and maybe go bolder on what you agree, and then the simplicity, isn't it? And I think
exactly.
I'm not old at all, of course, as you can see, but I find it sometimes bewildering, even though I work in Schneider well. I think how many things that we're trying to tell. I mean, you look around this room, we have to be able to convey a simple, clear story with an outcome, and I think sometimes we lose ourselves. Paul, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
And what I'd like to do, if you wouldn't mind staying, let me invite Vijay back. We have 5 minutes if you have questions from the audience. I think there's a microphone, maybe. You'll need a microphone at least. Yes, ladies there. Please take advantage of the skills and the knowledge here, and any questions for the two folks here. And then we'll wrap up.
Hello. Thank you. Really enjoyed the presentations. I have one quick question for both of you. Vijay, for J1 and J2, what would you say would be the most common source of unplanned disruptions at the facility? And how do you see digitization having an impact on that in the future?
Thank you for question, Kiran. Friends, you know that when we are implementing J1, we have passed through a very, very big natural calamity. It is the earthquake of 2001 in India. That earthquake has disturbed us a lot. Our tank farm is damaged, our equipment is moved, our structure is damaged. But because of this digital documentations and the procurement system in line, we can rebuild all the damaged items within a short part of 45 days. And that is our break record. And we thanks really the digital documentation and digital systems, we have come back with the shortest period of 1.5 months. In J2, you know, technology is growing, upgrading every time. So we have used field bus foundation in J2. No one in world is giving total solution of field bus foundation for such a big, large project. So we have make mix and merge. We have taken junction boxes from MTL. We have put some stuff from Phoenix inside. We have put some equipment from Schneider inside, and we have built it. Now, while commissioning stage, we come to know that there is some problem with the wiring looms. With the help of our suppliers and sub-suppliers, online 9,800 JBs are corrected in 2 days. Can you imagine? The pre-wired wire looms are shifted from Germany, MTL UK, to the site, round the clock, near about 300 technicians working and make this JB ready to use by 2 to 3 days. This is the challenge we have faced. In J3 is a mammoth project. We have done the FAT and FAT is a time consuming. We have to mobilize our manpower, we have to mobilize expert, we have to mobilize our OEMs, we have to mobilize our engineering contractors or detail engineering contractors and start all. So in last stage of J3, during SEZ gasification, we have got a very good advantage of my sister concern Reliance Jio, who has started business for data and voice transmission. So using this Jio cloud, we have made a pilot plant and we have completed the FAT of SEZ gasification from site and systems sitting in Bombay or somewhere outside Bombay. So this is the small learning we have learned it. And that cloud and this digitalization will help us to complete this FAT well before the time. This is our second learning in this phase. And as you know, learning is a life. Every step, people have to learn a lot. In next project, we would like to see the wireless network. We like to see the FNG detectors on wireless, mobility of the detectors. So wherever there is a leakage, we can put more detectors. Where there is a shutdown, I can burden that with these detectors and I can monitor it around the clocks with my operators, with my partitions, and I will make more safety. Because safety is a prime requirement of our requirement. Okay. We see now it's such a large investment, near about $16 billion we are now materializing. So we want to get every penny from our crude or from our raw materials. So we now in the process to optimize the process. We want some advisor who can give us process advice, who can give us power advisor, who is a software which can help us to tune my process in better way to get the optimized shape and sustainable production, which will increase the profitability. That is what we see. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope I have answered you.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Not many of us, God willing, have to encounter earthquake recovery, so another use for digitization. You had a question for Paul? Ah.
Earlier. Oh, here we go. Okay. Paul, sorry. Yes, one other quick question. Have you seen the innovation that's been coming through digitization having an impact on the number of personnel on board that you're deploying today in operation?
I guess, does it mean you can have less people with use of technology?
Thank you.
Yes and no. Because we have to follow EMO rules, international standards and things like that, so you have to have so and so many people on the marine side on board, so nothing you can do there. But when it comes to the process side, yes, you could streamline it a little bit. So I have not seen any direct figures improving it, but obviously we have to look at every dollar and cents when we are competing with projects here, because operational cost goes into the overall picture. So yes, I hope there is an improvement there. Yes.
Opportunity on the process side.
Thank you.
Folks, I think there's probably many more questions, but we have run out of time. So I wanted one more time to thank Paul. Thank you, sir. To thank Vijay.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much.
And audience. Thank you.
And
Schneider Electrical.
enjoy the rest of your day. If you want to hear Schneider's view on digitization, you have a whole room full of experts. Please take the most advantage. Thank you so much for joining us.